McDonald's is a multinational of phenomenal size and has resources outstripping most political parties around the world, and they can certainly defend themselves without going to the court.
To bystanders, it must have looked like another miscarriage of justice. A couple freed, perhaps, from a life sentence. But in fact, David Morris and Helen Steele had just had a £60,000 judgment awarded against them for libelling one of the world's largest multinationals. But it had not gone all McDonald's way, and the pair defiantly pledged to keep distributing the leaflets that had landed them here in the first place.
Campaigners are performing a public service by continuing to distribute leaflets, whatever the verdict today. The campaign is unstoppable and it will continue to grow.
As they left the court, pursued by the mass media, behind them was the longest case in English legal history and an estimated £10 million plus in legal costs, which McDonald's can never hope to recover. And what about that damages award?
Are you going to pay them any money? We haven't got any money. We haven't got any money.
Former postman Mr Morris and former gardener Miss Steele set off for court on the tube today, as they've done throughout the trial, reinforcing the David and Goliath image of the case as the Big Mac goes for the small fries. It was this leaflet that prompted McDonald's to bring the libel action. It accused the corporation of being responsible for starvation in the Third World, destroying vast areas of Central American rainforest, serving unhealthy food that increased the risk of cancer and heart disease, and exploiting children in its advertising, as well as cruelty to animals. But the allegations concerning starvation, rainforests and health scares were found untrue and defamatory by the judge. However, he upheld the defendant's claim that McDonald's advertising and marketing made use of susceptible children to bring custom, and that the company was culpably responsible for cruel practice involving some animals. At a news conference, the defendants and their supporters believed they'd won a significant victory in today's judgment, which also found that McDonald's paid low wages to its staff.
We haven't won on a couple of minor points, we've won on a couple of major points, plus we've won substantial parts of the evidence. It's just legal technicalities on interpretation of the leaflet that we've lost on. And as far as we're concerned, what would have been a loss is if we hadn't fought this case and people had been intimidated into silence.
As for McDonald's, they held a news conference to express satisfaction with the judge's findings.
We are, as you can imagine, broadly satisfied with the judgment given this morning. For the sake of our employees and our customers, we wanted to show these serious allegations to be false, and I'm pleased we've done so. There are aspects of the judgment which we'll have to review, and we'll do so when we've been able to study the full ruling in detail.
While McDonald's may gain some satisfaction from this judgment, it's by no means an outright victory. And in the view of some legal observers, the company's used a sledgehammer to crack a nut in this case, and it's badly rebounded, leaving McDonald's with egg on its face. For both sides, it's been a very long haul. The What's Wrong with McDonald's fact sheet was published over 10 years ago, but it wasn't until 4 years later that McDonald's issued writs. Shortly after, the McLibel too decided to fight. The trial eventually began 3 years later. 313 court days later, it ended last year. But on the way there were 28 pre-trial hearings, 7 approaches to the appeal court, 1 visit to the House of Lords and a hearing in Europe. And if this wasn't bad enough for the parties involved, it could go to Europe again. A lawyer who gave his services free to the McLibel too believes that, as with local authorities and political parties, large corporations should not have the right to bring such actions.
There are very strong arguments for saying that multinationals such as McDonald's didn't ought to be able to sue for libel in this day and age. It has now been recognised that local authorities and political parties can't sue for libel on the basis that they are in a position to defend themselves publicly. They have the resources to do so. McDonald's is a multinational of phenomenal size and has resources outstripping most political parties around the world, and they can certainly defend themselves without going to the court.
For much of the case, supporters of the McLibel too have been able to follow the trial and its ramifications on the internet. Tonight, though, they may be intrigued to know the legal profession is catching up. The Lord Chancellor's Department has put today's historic judgment on its own website.